Hello again. This is Bill Pfeiffer speaking from Marysfield. Marysfield, always good news. My son Bob, who's my director really, says to press the subscribe button that does something good for us. My wife is my producer. She's always kind of making sure the background is right, and to both of them, I'm extremely grateful. Difficult times in which we are living. You know, we're living in an age of incredible irrationality. We're in a genuine sensitivity and spiritual coma. We have mainstreamed the abnormal and seem to be in a kind of a race to the bottom. It's just craziness. Our leaders don't future well. They're too busy. They go from one hot spot to another, where they create one hot spot and one fire they have to put out after another. So there's little thought. And we find that if you say things enough, sooner or later, people begin to believe it. Don't believe it, you know. Say it often and you normalize it. Isn't that true? You know, if you say it enough, people think it's normal, huh? You know, why do you think advertising really works? Burger King and McDonald's, they advertise over and over, the same advertisement sometimes over and over, because it works. You know, if you say things often enough, it normalizes it. Everything becomes good because of the way that you keep repeating it over and over. And we don't want to believe that. You know, too often we buy into this kind of thing without thinking, and we need to guard ourselves, guard our minds, our hearts, and to nourish our spiritual life. So that is your true life. It's a nice story from Mother Theresa. A young girl came from outside of India to join Mother Teresa's community of nuns, the Missionaries of Charity. Mother Teresa had a rule that new arrivals had to go the very next day to the home for the dying. So the next day, Mother Teresa told the young girl, "You saw the priest during Holy Mass, with what love and care he touched Jesus in the host. Do the same when you go to the home of the dying, because it is the same Jesus you will find there in the broken bodies of the poor." And the girl went. After 3 hours, the newcomer came back and said with a big smile to Mother Teresa, "Mother, I have just been touching the body of Christ for 3 hours." And Mother Teresa said to her, "How? What did you do?" And the girl replied, "When I arrived there, they brought in a man who had fallen into a drain and been there for some time. He was covered with wounds and dirt and maggots, and I cleaned him, and I knew that I was touching the body of Jesus." This young lady was really on her way to becoming an active contemplative. You know, the mystical journey drives us into ourselves, and to get rid of that false self, and to a sacred flame that exists in the center of each of us. And you don't have to be totally, belong to a contemplative convent or monastery to do that. You can do that in the world in which we live. The presence and the process of becoming an active contemplative, what Jesus was, and what each of us is called to be, is the work of a lifetime. A work that is not the only individuals, but God's. God's involved in this very much, because he wants to see us become whole, to become all that we can be. And I remember reading a story somewhere about someone who was on retreat, and they saw a poster that remained with them long after the retreat's words had disappeared. The captioning, it showed a picture of a big Saint Bernard, and the captioning under the picture were these words: "I've tried so hard to be what others said I should be, I've forgotten what I really am." You know, we are made in the image and likeness of God. That's who we are. We are really, in our lives, active contemplatives, and that's the thing that we want to do. The only thing we can do, and that too is graced, is simply give ourselves to the process. reading, workshops, and so on really are helpful. But knowing what to do on a daily basis is really the more important thing, and to do it in silence and awareness. This requires neither monastic schedules nor academic degrees. Instead, it demands the humility to live reflectively, but not take ourselves too seriously, the discipline of daily contemplative prayer, even when it is boring, and it sometimes is. Contemplative centering prayer sometimes is boring, it's difficult. It's like stirring molasses in the winter sometimes, but that time in the prayer is often the most profitable. A wholehearted and enthusiastic participation in all we do, and the courage to witness to all countercultural values, since we will be increasingly unwilling to play the games to which our American illusion survives. We end up acquiring a new mindset, a new way of seeing things, a new vision, and all of that becomes countercultural. It becomes against the culture in which we live, and we become increasingly unwilling to be a part of that kind of thing that we talked about in the beginning. That this age of irrationality, the kind of craziness in which we're involved, to that race to the bottom. So continue. We've done four podcasts now on to centering prayer, and there's some really good things in there that will help you to grow, to really become the kind of person that you always wanted to be. It will help you to eliminate some of the junk in your life, and be able to help you to grow and to become a person that is involved with the true self, allowing the false self to die, that ego. And this is, as the Spanish say, the ego is not your amigo, and that really is the truth. It just continues to get us in trouble. So one becomes an active contemplative, like that little girl who just joined the Mother Teresa's community there, by being one. You become an active contemplative by being one. There's no other way. You have to do it. So happiness tomorrow always begins by doing the truth today. If we want to become an active contemplative, one that really is able to touch others and do things for others in a way where they know they've been touched by Jesus, not by me, but by Jesus, you have to be able to have a heart and a spirit that has that inside of you. And it is a centering prayer, I think, and contemplative prayer, being that active contemplative that does that. Good to be with you. Continue to grow. Continue to keep me in your prayers, and know that you're in mine each day.